I am not a person who cusses. As you can see, I am currently rucking. For those that don't know what rucking is, rucking means walking with weights. It is a term that is usually associated or utilized in the military for them carrying, you know, different weighted objects. And so this is a weighted vest. Right now I have 10 pounds on it. This one can go to 40 pounds. But for about a year now, when I kept hearing, I kept saying, what's the best way for me to get in shape? My body kept saying, walk with weights. My spirit kept saying, walk with weights. So one of my accountability partners, they usually wear 5 or 10 pound ankle weights when they walk. So I do that sometimes. Sometimes I have my handheld weights, but I also have my weighted vest. And so welcome to What the Ruck. And I just started thinking, and I started doing a taping that wasn't live, and I was told to go live, so here I am. So welcome, welcome, welcome. You can definitely pop in the chat where you're joining from, and thank you for joining. So, What the Ruck. 5 years ago, on November 1st, I walked in, and my mother was sitting in her chair as usual, and she asked me how I was doing. I said, fine. She asked me what I was doing. I said I was bringing her groceries. She said, okay. And then she asked me how I was doing. I said, fine. She asked me what I was doing, to which point I looked at her like this, and I said, I'm bringing you your groceries. And she said, oh. And then she asked me how I was doing, and I said, wait a minute, something's not right here. That was 3 times in a row, same question, same inflection, and I got scared. And so I called my younger brother. I asked him to get over to her house immediately. And he came, hi, good evening, thank you for joining What the Ruck. And I'm talking about living while caregiving, and how 5 years ago when I walked in to drop off my mother's groceries, she asked me, hello, thank you for joining. Please be sure to subscribe. She asked me what I was doing, and she asked me the same questions 3 times. And it was like I was in that movie, what was that with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore? Like, whatever, something, First Dates, 31st Dates, whatever. But it was just this repetitive, these questions. And I, needless to say, got extremely upset. Called my brother. He came over. We checked her blood pressure. It was over 200 over something. Called the hospital, ambulance came to get her, and she had a stroke. And basically her short-term memory had been impacted. She couldn't remember. It was just this constant looping. Exactly. So, right, what the ruck. It was just this constant looping. And when I tell you November 20, and this was 2020 when this happened, so during COVID, they weren't allowing us to come back. So now trying to explain what is going on with her from a distance, her not knowing what was happening to her and not being able to advocate for her in the same space. When I tell you it was a teary November, I think I cried every day. I just kept thinking, I can't believe the last time I interacted with my mother, the way I had known her to be was on Halloween, because this was November 1st, but this was 2020. And my mother had a history of strokes. So unfortunately, I was used to being her caregiver for an extended period of time, but generally she would bounce back after about 6 to 8 weeks. Well, 6 to 8 weeks passed, 10 weeks passed, 12 weeks passed, and she wasn't getting better. And then we would kind of get these glimmers of hope, but it became very clear that she was no longer going to be able to live by herself and care for herself, because she couldn't remember if she had taken a medication, she couldn't remember if she had eaten, she couldn't remember if she had bathed, right? All her activities of daily living. This stroke in particular impacted her mobility, so she couldn't get her food, she couldn't navigate. Like, it was just, oh, what the ruck. And for those who don't know what rucking is walking with weights, which is what I do. I have on a weighted vest here, and it has 10 pounds in it. Sometimes I use ankle weights, sometimes I use hand weights. So that's why the show's called What the Ruck. Hi, welcome. So needless to say, my life changed very unexpectedly November 1st, 2020, and I became the formal caregiver, the primary caregiver for my mother. And so all of the things that I used to do, oh goodness, I will tell you, hi. So there's a couple things to do to lose weight, definitely. You can, hello, welcome. You definitely want to make sure you're getting your movement, your exercise of choice, whether it's dancing, walking, running, lifting weights. You definitely want to do a combination of some weight training and some cardio. You definitely want to make sure you got some high protein going on and reduce those carbs. But you also want to check with your doctor and dietitian and so forth. You had on your weighted vest today. All right, what the ruck? It was an R, not an F. Yes. Oh, 30-pound vest. Congratulations. If I had my tambourine, I'd shake it. All right, so I only have 10 pounds, 5 in the front, 5 in the back. This one holds 40 pounds. I haven't gotten up to there yet, so way to go with you with 30 pounds. I also have my ankle weights. I don't have them on today. I have 5 pounds and 10-pound ankle weights. And then I have my 3-pound weights that I'll sometimes use as well. Foods. Well, are you a meat eater, a fish eater? Are you a vegan? Like, what do you like? And it's so important to work with nutritionists because you also want to find out what foods work well for you and which foods don't. So like, for instance, I found out that nightshade, vegetables like tomatoes, eggplants, even chickpeas, for me, they cause my body to become inflamed. So even though I like all of them, they don't do my body well. But I didn't know that. So I had to work with a nutritionist to find out what worked well for me. So I definitely, Edna Warren, EDNAWARREN of the Health Zone, based out of Florida. That's who I work with. So you can look her up, and she definitely is one to work with. She also has a program called KIP, Kaizen Improvement Program, which I utilized and got rid of 59 pounds to be exact. It's high protein, low carb program, and it's a little at a time. So you definitely can check her out, Edna Warren of the Health Zone. So, yeah, so like I said, I started taking care of my mom full time. And for anybody who's a caregiver, that's incredibly stressful. This was not something I was expecting, nor my husband was expecting. So here we are now in a very much for better or worse. You know, when we took those vows with each other, we were thinking for better, for worse when it comes to our behaviors, interactions, health conditions with each other, not considering family, right? And so my mother, all of a sudden, she needed this care. She had to move in with us. She could not go unsupervised. And so then it became a whole journey of trying to find caregivers for her. Who does she get along with? Because sometimes she ain't the easiest person to get along with. And who's going to work well with her? Who is she going to work well with? Who can you trust in your home? Like all these things that make me say, what the ruck, right? And so these are the realities of life, the work that I used to do. I had to shift everything virtually. Luckily, not so luckily, it was already COVID, so most of our stuff was virtual anyway, but it had to remain virtual. And this caregiving piece, I said, okay, there's no time limit to it. I recently did a post where I showed, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was only buying the little toothpaste. If you look at my shorts, you'll see it. I was only buying the little toothpaste because I didn't know how long she was going to live. And I was like, I ain't buying a big thing of toothpaste. And then I walk in one day and she's not there. And it may seem morbid, but that was the reality. I mean, she was in really bad condition. And then one day it dawned on me, after we had a series of long good health span, that I was still kind of in this functioning of her potentially transitioning. And so I had to basically stake my claim for life, for her, as well as for our household. And honestly, simply buying a regular size tube of toothpaste, as silly and as crazy as it may seem, really was a declaration of life. And there were so many things that I was doing that I didn't realize was going through my mind. But thank goodness I have a good friend group who I was able to talk through some of this stuff with and come into these insights. One of the things that I make sure that I do is exercise for stress relief from being a caretaker, and also health too, so that I'm not in the same physical health condition as much as it can be prevented that my mother and my father's made his transition already, but that they were in as well. And not that they were super unhealthy, but they didn't do a lot of things like exercise to prevent some things from happening. So I think about what did they do well so I can incorporate that into my life. What didn't they do well so I can make sure I do something different, and exercising on the regular. So I'm going to try to get on here. I mean, I get on here at least, I do about 9 to 10 miles a week. So that for me, that's about 4 hours, 3 hours. I do about 3 miles in an hour. But I try to jump on and do a live maybe once or a couple times a week, but I'm definitely doing my rucking. One of the things was I guess about 2 weeks ago, I noticed that there were 9 weeks left till the end of the year. And that really jumped out at me. And so I said, you know what, if I can do 9 weeks, thank you, I appreciate it. I was like, if I can do, oh, thanks. If I can do, thank you, I appreciate it. I said, if I can do 9 miles every week for the next 9 weeks, right, that actually takes me to 81 miles. And that's pretty amazing. And, you know, the goal is that I will continue even into 2026. Now, I may decide to take it up and do more than 9 miles a week, but at least I can say that I ended 2025, right, meeting this goal and rolling into 2026 with that accomplishment. And so I'm hoping that my rucking inspires you to set some goals for yourself over these next few weeks. I think we might be down to 7 weeks, or maybe even down to 6 weeks left. Probably closer to 7 weeks until the end of the year. And then we'll see, right? We'll see what's next. Now, I also do, once I get off of here, I will do like chest presses, and I try to incorporate the different exercises and movements that I utilize with working with my mother. So like pulling her out of bed or off of her shower chair. It's a lot of lat rows. So I'm making sure that when I'm doing my weights, I'm doing lat rows, squats, which I really don't do well, but I try to make sure I'm working on doing those well. Another thing that I do is I make sure I sit on the floor every day so I can get up. And just because if my mother goes down, she can't get up. And that's something that I want to make sure I'm as strong as I can be for as long as I can be. And so training my body now so that when I get older, it's just used to doing those things. So there's so many things that we can start to incorporate with just daily practice, so that it becomes habit for us. So yeah, I apologize for all the ums. The other thing is, I know cardiovascularly, it's good to walk and talk. So it helps to build my heart strength as well. I'm mindful too that I'm carrying an extra 10 pounds on me that I can take off. And ultimately that's the goal, is to take off even more weight. So I hadn't thought about it. Maybe as I get rid of 10 pounds on my physical body, I can add another 10 pounds onto my weighted vest. I don't know, what y'all think? Yeah, it definitely makes me stronger. I think I might do that. So maybe when I come down 10 pounds, I'll add another 10 pounds onto the vest, because obviously we know I can walk with that extra 10 pounds, right? Because I've been doing it without the vest. But now it'll be good because it won't be on my physical body and I can take it on and off. And then another 10, then maybe I can get up to the 30. Who was telling me that they walked with their 30-pound vest? I don't know if they're still on. Jillian, oh no, JLT, okay. Yes, for sure. Yes, you were walking with your 30 pounds. Did you start with 30 pounds when you were walking with your weighted vest? Or did you start lighter and work your way up? Let me know. So I had got the 40 pound, because a lot of the other ones, they didn't go as high. Oh, wow, you started with 12. Go you. How long did it take you to get up to 30? That's amazing. I had gotten the 40 because I didn't know if my husband wanted to use it sometimes. So I wanted to make sure it had enough weight to accommodate his needs as well. And this one that I have on is really long. I'm tall, so it works for me. I know a lot of times the other ones are kind of like short and around the chest area. So, but this one is long and it's big, but I like it. So thank you for joining me. So yeah, so as I was sharing, I'm 5 years in now caring for my mom, and some days are more challenging than others. And sometimes I'm like, how in the world did I get here? And how is this my life? But it is. And I'm like, all right, how do I make this the best life? Because this is a reality. And I remember years ago, there was this lady, and she was nice, but she just always seemed tired and very frustrated. And I couldn't figure out, I didn't know her. So I would walk around the reservoir with the 12 pounds for 3 to 5 miles. Then I put the 30 pounds when I do okay. All right. I might have to try that. 12 for 3, and then put the 30 pounds when you do 2 miles. Okay. Thank you for sharing. All right, I'll try it. Like I said, I just started, so it's been 2 weeks now. This is week 3, and tonight I'll be at 5 miles. So I'll have, 4 more before the end of the week. But I might try to lift up just a notch and see how I do. Now, do you do ankle weights too, or just the weighted vest? All right, let me know. But what I was saying is that I try, even though this was an unexpected, or this is an unexpected part of my life, I try to make sure I'm still living my greatest life, which is my motto, is to live your greatest life. And what does that look like with the circumstances that you have? And how do we continue to, work and be happy and joyous and appreciative and so forth. And so one of the things is that my husband and I, we make sure we do have a date day, even if we're staying home, which happens a lot, needless to say, because I have to find coverage for her. What do you say? I haven't tried the ankle weights yet. I may incorporate them next. Okay, so what I would recommend, I don't have mine on and they're on the floor right now, but I started out with the 2.5 ankle weights for each, so it ends up being, 5 pounds total. And then I got the 5 pounds each. Now, I'm trying to remember, I think the 5 pound ones, I think they're removable. Some of the weights are removable, so I can go up gradually. But I went too high, too heavy, too fast. And I think I ended up kind of like spraining, not, my ankle. So I had to come back down. So I would say start light and then work your way up. And also start slow and then work your way up with speed. So, if you decide to go there, try it out and see. But I like it. Sometimes I can only do it for a little while and then I have to take it off. Like if I start to feel a strain in my ankles or in my Achilles, because the last thing I want to do is hurt it and not be able to work out at all. So y'all be careful when you're trying these different things. So yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Any other tips or recommendations you have that you've been finding has been working well for you? I know somebody else had asked about what foods to eat and weight loss, so feel free to chime in. I appreciate it. But what I was saying was we find that having a date night is very important, even if it's just staying in the house, which a lot of times it is. And sometimes he'll bring, treats home and stuff like that. But recently, as of last week, and this is so silly to me, I don't know how I missed it, but I did. I realized there's at least one night out. Oh, you do the 16, you fast 16 hours a day. Really? Okay, I've done some intermittent fasting. I don't know. I can't say that I've really noticed. I mean, I've been doing intermittent fasting for years now. I can't say that I've noticed any benefits. So that's good. I'm glad that you have noticed it's been helpful for you. And I do think fasting is important. Sometimes for me, it's just I'll take the whole day. Like sometimes I just feel like all my insides just need a rest. So I will do that. And then I was just on my page, I did the Dr. Bobby Price detox. I don't know if you've done that one yet. And that thing was super helpful. It was nasty, but it was incredibly helpful. It was a parasite cleanse, and that definitely made a difference and helped with a reset and shifting my taste buds. One thing I will say about his detox is that I felt like it also helped mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like it brought up a lot of other types of parasites besides just the organisms, like where else energy was going to that I needed to call back to self. And even with caretaking for my mom, like I had to recenter and refocus my energy on my health and well-being, because for many years I was so focused on hers that I wasn't doing what was best for me. Like I remember one time taking her plate upstairs to her, and I'm making sure she's got her calcium and her protein and her vegetables, and I'm looking at her plate. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to snatch a snack to eat between clients and meetings and stuff like that. And it was like, what are you doing? Like, you're the caretaker. You got to make sure you're caring for yourself in addition to caring for her. Because if you don't take care of you, and we know this, right? Yeah, the infamous, if you don't put your oxygen mask on, right, you got to fill up your cup first. It was like, you're not taking the best care of you. And if I'm not taking the best care of myself, I can't take the best care of somebody else. So I had to reset myself. And like I said, even last week, I had taken myself out to dinner. And I realized how wonderful it was to just order whatever I wanted and not have to take anybody else into consideration. Somebody was watching my mother. My husband was at work. And I just didn't have to take that into consideration. So I was able to focus on self. So that was very important. And I said, I'll make sure I incorporate that into my life at least once a month. So living while caregiving is a real thing. And there are times where I have to say, what the ruck? What the ruck? So that's why the show's called What the Ruck. So I'll be jumping back on time to time, sharing some of my insights, some of my challenges. One of the ones I'm sure I'll talk about next time is caring for those. How did I have it? It's like when you care for those, but they don't care about you, or it seems that they don't care about you, or something like that. And that can be really hard on the caretaker. So to all the caretakers out there, whether it's for your parents, a sibling, or even a child, you are not alone. I know sometimes we feel very much alone. We feel very isolated. And sometimes even those who love us the most, they don't truly get it. But there is a community of us out here that do get it. So I just wanted to pop on and let you know, stay hopeful. I'm a person that believes in prayer and meditation, health, wellness, stillness. So definitely incorporate those things that you love to do, even if it's to draw or doodle, work with clay, sing, dance, whatever it is. Please make sure you incorporate something positive and healthy into your life. Continue to give to yourself the same way, and or if not more, as you give to others. You must take care of you and ensure your well-being. So, you're welcome. Thank you, and may God bless you and your family as well. All right, I hope to see you again. All right, y'all have a good night. Be well. Take care and keep on rocking. All right, see you soon. Bye.